Hello students, today the continuation of sources of energy. The energy which plays a very important role in our lives, it providing comfort and increasing productivity and allowing us to live the way we want. Since the beginning of mankind, we have made use of wood, water, fossil fuels as a means of heating and making machines work. Almost for the types of all activities, we rely on one or another form of energy. Students will be able to understand transformation of energy and they can easily explain about what is energy crisis and how did it develop. They recognize the need for the conservation of energy and sources. They can easily explain about the methods of mitigation of energy crisis, the energy efficiency, and how they can easily conserve the energy in day-to-day life. Let us see everything in detail, children. Transformation of energy. As you have learned earlier, the energy can exist in many different forms. It is also true that the energy which can be changed from one form to another, but it cannot be created or can be destroyed. Normally, we talk about using of energy. But do you know, it never gets used and it just gets transformed from one form to another form. Yes, see, let us see how the transformation of energy which takes place in our day-to-day life through some examples which you're seeing on the screen. The food that has chemical energy stored in it, right? So when our body which uses this stored energy to do some work, so it gets converted to kinetic energy, right? So for example, if you kick a ball, your muscles changes chemical energy from your food into the kinetic energy. As the ball moves through the air and across the ground, then the friction slows it down and its kinetic energy is changed into thermal energy. So it is changing, the transformation of energy is occurring in this example. And we can say one more example like transformation of energy is, you can take it for that thermal power plant or thermal power stations. The chemical energy of coal which is transformed into the heat energy of hot stream and then into the mechanical energy of the turbines. So this mechanical energy is transformed by a generator into the electrical energy which passes through the power lines to the various places like cities, towns, houses, right, factories and schools and all, right. So where it is transformed back to heat, light, sound and the mechanical energy. And for example, we can say when you talk on the phone, your voice, that means the sound energy is transformed into the electrical energy which is transmitted through the wire or the air, right. So the phone on the other end, it changes the electrical energy into the sound energy through the speaker, right. So similarly, we can say with the television that changes electrical energy into the light energy and the sound energy, right. So as per the law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form of energy into another form. And we can recall what we have taken to time for assessment. Some of the questions which are seeing on the screen, you may take a paper, write the questions, pause the video, children. Just try it. And if you want to know and get clarified, please hold it. Again, recall all the transformation which we have seen through the examples, the statement, then you can see that. Yes, try it, children. Now, we'll see one by one the answers and what are all the answers which is coming with your coordinate with your answers scripts. Let us see the first question which we asked about the statement about the energy, the conservation of laws of energy. The statement which says that the energy that can be neither be created nor be destroyed. That means the energy, the total energy remains constant. It can only be transformed from one form of energy into another. The second question, which we can see that For some examples, right? So the fuel and the batteries that have the chemical energy which is stored in them, when they are used, their energy which is released by the chemical reactions, right? Some more examples, like we can take a spring or other stretched or compressed materials that have potential energy. And suppose the water which is stored in dams and the reservoirs also has the potential energy which gets converted into another form of energy. Energy crisis and its mitigations. So the energy, which is the lifeline of our survival and the development. Because of positive electrical energy, some Indian households, particularly we can say in rural areas, go without the electricity for days. And even in urban areas also the situation is not very good, we can say. So there are frequently the electric cuts for several hours during the day. This is because of the severe problem during the summer. And the situations in which a country suffers from the frequent disturbances in the energy supplies because of the large and increasing gaps which is between the availability and the demand of the electricity, which is accompanied by rapidly increasing the energy prices, and it has threatened the economical and the social development of the nation, that may be termed as the energy crisis. The energy crisis is being faced by all developing nations, including India. What are the reasons which behind such this energy crisis? We can see the reasons which are behind. In fact, that presently around 85% of the world's energy supplies is met from the oil, coal and the natural gas. So these sources of energy are very limited and it will not long last beyond a few decades, we can say, right? So it is a limited resource and also it creates environmental problem. So even if more coal is mined, the increasing gap which is between, we can say, it's surely the demand and the supply of the energy in India cannot be easily bridged. The basic reasons behind over energy crisis. Our over-dependence on the limited and the exhaustible sources of energy, such as we can say that the coal, oil deposits. And mainly we can say about the increasing gap in the demand and the supply of the energy, right? And ever-increasing prices of the energy and fuel from other countries also one of the reasons. The reluctance in using alternative sources and the renewable sources of energy such as solar energy, wind energy and bioenergy and all. And mainly we can say about overuse and misuse of the availability of the sources of energy. These are all we can say the basic reasons behind the over energy crisis. So the methods of mitigating energy crisis. It is believed that one possible solution to India's energy problems is nuclear power. Accordingly, we signed a nuclear deal to import fuel and technology. So the model of nuclear powered energy that has been successful in some countries, like we can say France and some other countries, where they meet more than 75% of their electricity requirement from the nuclear energy only. And the use of renewable sources of energy that we can say solar power, wind power, hydroelectric power, biogas, the biofuel and all should be performed, and we have to promote those things. So as automobiles are major consumers in our country, right? The petroleum fuels and the oils, that are all an effort that should be made to increase the mileage standards of the automobiles. And even the generation of energy from the renewable sources is not very simple and it is cost effective also. So therefore, we all of us should make a sincere effort to save and conserve the energy. See, being an agricultural nation, we should have come up with more igneous solutions to produce ethanol, biofuel from the sugar cane, the vegetable oils. In addition to the above initiatives to solve the problem of energy crisis, actually we should follow energy conservation approach. So some useful tips on how we can save the energy in our day-to-day life we can see. See, the energy saved is as good as energy generation, right? So therefore, we should not only judiciously use the energy source, but save the energy source is as much as we can. And you can start this conservation of energy from your home step, right? Some of the tips, the important tips we can give for the saving of energy, what all we can do that, the small things we can follow. Switch off the lights, fans and other appliances when it is not in use. And you can switch it off, or you don't want to open the taps if suppose it is not in use. Left open is not good, right? And while cooking the rice or dal, we can take the vessels should be remains covered, and also for the cooking only required quantity of water you can keep, right? So if you soak the pulses in water before time and all, the cooking process is very easy, and the saving the energy also we can done it, right? So the another way of saving energy is by use of more efficient appliances. How can we use it, like LED or CFS bulbs and all? If suppose used means it given the much efficiency or efficient than the tube light or the bulbs, and the tube lights gives much more light than the bulbs which we have in the same rate of power, right? Time to assess. You are seeing on the screen 2 or 3 questions. You can take down the questions and write the answers for that. The questions are, what are the steps that you can and should take for saving the energy at home or in office? The second question, list at least 3 reasons behind the energy crisis in our country. Pause the video, write the answers for it. You can check with our answers. The first question is, what are the steps that you can and should take for saving the energy at home or in office? See, what we said, the same thing, you have to switch it off the light, fans, the appliances when not in use. And water taps should not be left open. So while cooking, the vegetables and the vessels should remain covered. Right. The second question is, we can say, list at least 3 reasons behind the energy crisis in our country. So our over-dependence on unlimited and exhaustible sources of energy, that is like coal and the oil dependence. Like, then increasing the gap for the demand and the supply of the energy. So these are all we can say that the reasons which are behind the energy crisis in our country. Yes, students. So far we have learned through this session about transformation of energy, different transformation, and the energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, and it will be transformed from one energy to another. And what are the energy crises, how did it develops, and the methods of mitigation of energy crisis, the energy efficiency, and how to conserve the energy in our daily life, and all we have studied. Hope you people will follow all those things, and good day, children.